Guardians of the Galaxy is a part of the Marvel Universe that I'm probably the least familiar with. And that being said, I wasn't really stoked on the first movie. I went to go see it. I didn't really know who the characters were. I didn't really know their backstory, so I wasn't going into it with an idea of, oh, these are nostalgic characters for me. So while I was watching it, I felt like a lot of scenes were rushed. I felt like there were plot points that seemed like they were going to take some time to develop, just unfolded in a matter of seconds. I guess what I'm saying is I wanted a little bit more character development, I wanted a little bit more plot, but it was a setup movie for the second one. So I guess you can say that my expectations for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 were not very high, but I am very pleased to say that I was completely wrong. This movie was done very well. I think the plot was great. It was extremely funny. I feel more in touch and in tune with the characters, and it has made me a Guardians fan, and I almost want to go back and rewatch the first one now that I really like the characters. Their reputation as the Guardians of the Galaxy has now reached the general public, or the general galaxy. People are now referring to them as the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondu, who is played by Michael Rooker, is still in the mix. He plays out his part as the anti-hero. Nebula, played by Karen Gillan, is still a very angry blue robot woman who's trying to kill her very green, not robot sister, Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana. Say that 10 times fast. Rocket is still a raccoon running around with Napoleon Complex. Groot is still very small, he's very cute, but at least he can run around now. The last time we saw him, he was stuck in a vase and he was growing. And last but not least, we have Quill, or Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt, who's still on a search to find out who he is. The movie opens up introducing us to Quill's father, Ego, played by Kurt Russell. It shows him and Quill's mother and their life together back in 70s America, being young and in love. And you're just jealous. Brand new pun. So we have this heartwarming scene, and then it cuts to our main cast of characters who are battling it out with an unnamed, not important alien monstrosity. And this brings us back into the setting of the first film that we all recognize, which is in outer space. As the movie goes on, we get to learn more and more about our main cast of characters and what drives them. Quill's story already has substance, even on a surface level, because A, he's our main character, and B, everyone is in search of who they are and self-identification. Now, Gamora and Nebula have extreme sibling rivalry issues, which is understandable. A lot of siblings do, which is what makes them relatable characters. But now we get to learn a little bit more about their dark history, and let me tell you, it's dark. Evidently, their father, the really big blue guy who happens to have the gauntlet, who's a villain in the entire Marvel Universe, used to make them fight each other when they were kids. Why do villain parents do this? And that's right, I am talking to you, Ozai. But it's more than just the fighting. It's more than just making your children fight each other. Every time Gamora won, he would replace one of Nebula's real body parts with a robot one. That is really messed up on so many levels. So now I understand why Nebula would be really mad at Gamora every time for winning and continuously winning. But I also understand why Gamora would want to keep winning. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. If I knew that that was the result, if I knew that that was gonna happen, I would keep trying to win. Unless, of course, I mean, I don't know where these robot parts came from, but maybe there's like this super realistic looking robot arms store. Then maybe, yeah, I would want to go there and have my arms be robotic arms but look like mine, because then no one would know. They would look extremely realistic, but I could push through a wall every once in a while if I wanted to. But I'd probably have a really hard time at the airport. Now, I want to talk about Yondu and how I think he actually stole the show. I called it very early on. Even in the first movie, I felt like Yondu is probably not as bad as they're making him out to be. Yondu's original task was to go pick up Quill on Earth and deliver him to his father, Ego. And he never completes this task and instead basically raises him on his own ship. Why? Why would he do that? Yondu's own men, his crew, don't understand why he favors Quill so much. Well, that's because Yondu knew what was going to happen to Quill if he did deliver him to his father. So, to keep him safe, he decided to raise him on his own the best that he could. And learning this as an audience really made Yondu's character story arc come to a very appropriate and heartwarming close. And in the end, fast forwarding a little bit, Yondu ends up sacrificing himself to save Quill. And in this scene, when he's saving Quill, he has this really great line where he says, "He may be your father, but he ain't your daddy." And that one sentence, I think, sums up Yondu and Quill's relationship very well. They have this mutual understanding where they realize, yes, you are my father figure, and you are the son that I didn't ask for, but I'm so glad that I got to have. But one of my favorite scenes that brings depth to Yondu's character is his conversation with Rocket. Yondu has this very emotional conversation with Rocket where he admits for the first time on screen that there is more to him than this criminal persona that he takes on. At first it just seems like he's calling Rocket out, saying, you know, you're tough on the outside, but you're the most scared on the inside. And it's obvious that there's truth to this because Rocket ends up getting very defensive and keeps telling him to shut up. But then Yondu turns the conversation. He says the reason why he can see right through Rocket is because they are the same. He's admitting that he may have this really tough exterior, but inside he's very scared. Now, I know I probably shouldn't have. I don't know if anyone else in the theater did, but this scene made me feel some feels. Because in life, I think it's very important for people to be able to look within and admit things to themselves, and I think that these two characters helped each other do that, which we see on screen. Every scene where these two characters interact with each other after this conversation, you can see that they have a newfound mutual understanding of each other. It was a real friendship built off real-life emotions, and it's very relatable. Unlike Poe and Finn, who are thrown into this unbelievable bromance where they're immediately best friends as soon as they meet each other. Now, there's an entire race of gold people who are thrown into the mix, and they have a gigantic golden army. And I'll spend as much time on them in relation to how important they are in the plot. Moving on, we're introduced to a new character named Mantis, who is Ego's servant woman. She has the ability to feel one's feelings and for some reason give instant narcolepsy to anybody that she touches. Now this becomes handy at the end of the movie where she has to neutralize Ego in his final form. She puts him to sleep. We learn about Mantis' special abilities in this really funny scene between her, Drax, Quill, Gamora, basically everybody's on the ship. They're on a ship going to Ego's planet, and she offers a demonstration. So she puts her hand on Quill and she starts to feel these feelings of love. And then it gets more specific and you find out it's love for Gamora. And Drax thinks this is hilarious because she's basically taking Quill's deepest secrets and laying them out for everyone to see. And as we all know, Drax is socially inept, so he just points and laughs at Quill the entire time. It's a very funny scene. I love the relationship between Drax and Mantis, even though he continuously lets her know that he's repulsed by the very sight of her. There is something there. At least we're meant to believe that there is. Although he finds her so hideous and ugly, he is around her quite a bit, and she is the one that he saves at the end. And he even admits that he finds her beautiful, even if it is on the inside. That's something. Now, I'm going to talk briefly about Ego. I think he was a great character. I think he was cast very well. Kurt Russell is an amazing actor. He's been in a lot of great movies. And Ego's name is pretty appropriate. I mean, he is a being, he is a planet, he is a life form that believes that he is more intelligent and more important than every other form of life in the galaxy. So, through a process that he calls the expansion, he will turn every other planet and form of life into himself. So yeah, the name Ego makes sense. Now, when Quill realizes that his father, whom he just met, is actually evil, they have this gigantic fight where they're flying through the air. If you've ever seen Harry Potter Deathly Hallows, it's very much the same type of aerial battle between Voldemort and Harry. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a very good movie. It's extremely funny. I highly suggest you go see it. If you really like the first one, then you're definitely gonna like this one. If you didn't like the first one, kind of like me, you might be pleasantly surprised. You might like this one. So thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, in another episode of Geek Level Asian. I always say feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Now I'm telling you to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter handle is Geek Level Asian. It's very easy to remember. Follow me. If you guys already purchased your New York Comic Con tickets, I will see you there. I'm going to be there Thursday and Friday. I am searching for a Saturday ticket. I'm sure I'll find one somewhere. If anyone lives on Long Island, which is where I'm originally from, I really want to go to EternalCon too. So if you're going to that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy tickets to that. So maybe I'll see you there. All right, guys, it's been fun. I'll see you next time.